Part 2 of my family rejects their ethnicity. Okay, so as I was saying, me and Mr. Kim met where there's currently a basketball court at PVCC. I was up there working my bow and training. And I didn't know that him and I would be in the same class that day. But I was working it out, doing my thing. And out of the corner of my eye, I seen this little dude running. He's actually bigger than me when he got there. But from the corner of my eye, from where the school stood, I seen this dude. And I mean, he was running at pretty good speed. And I was like, oh, shit. Because from where I could see him from, it was an Asian dude. And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to fight this damn Asian dude. This shit is not cool. But it dawned on me, I got a bow staff. What I'm worried for? So the only thing that can happen is that he could be better than me and take it from me and beat my ass with it. Or he could be really bad and I could beat the shit out of him with this bow staff. So I'm still working it. And I'm just waiting because I'm like, oh man, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And I'm thinking because in all my martial art fights, I've never fought another Asian person before. Until I started making movies. But prior to that, I had never fought another Asian before. So when he popped up on the hill, I drew ready. And he's like, oh, we don't need that. I just wanted to see who you were. I seen you working your bow from a distance and you were pretty good with it. He's like, oh, hi, I'm James. Mr. Kim gave me his name. I'm not going to give it to y'all. You know, out of respect for him. So we got to talking. And he's like, so, are you Hawaiian? Or are you mixed with Chinese, Japanese, or you like me, Korean? And I was like, dude, I ain't none of that. And he's like, really? You looked Asian from where I was at. I said, well, I'm mixed with Native American, black, and white. He's like, well, that's it right there. Native American. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? He said, that explains why you look like you're half Asian or Hawaiian or something. And I said, yeah, man, I've been getting that a lot lately. Probably was my own fault. Yeah, but anyway. So, we got to talking. And I put my bow staff up in the car. And we got to talking. And he said, you know Native Americans are Asian, right? And I was like, no, we're not. We're from Atlantis. We talk to animals. Hell, we transform into animals. And he's like, no, son. Native Americans are from Asia. And I can prove it. And I said, no. Native Americans are from Atlantis. And we transform into animals. And we know Bigfoot. And we know the Thunderbird. And we know I went through a whole fuck ton of shit. So, he's like, you're wrong. I'll prove it. I was like, and how you plan to do that? So we went to the library. And we got all these encyclopedias and dictionaries on Native American history. And I lost. Because somewhere along the line between the 5th grade and Miss Conrad, I forgot about the land bridge. And so once we pointed that out and we went through all these books and I was like, damn. Because it was kind of a culture shock and a slap in the face because all the things that I told you in the other video with my grandma Ada, she never mentioned that. And she looked very Asian, but, you know, she's Cherokee Indian. I just assumed that all Native Americans just looked like her because she was the only one that I was ever exposed to until later in life with the wheelchair basketball team with the guy who didn't want me dating the chief's daughter. Anyway, or some important person's daughter. But I just knew that Native Americans was from Atlantis. You couldn't tell me anything else. I just knew Native Americans were from Atlantis. I just knew it. Then I got to reading that shit. And my heart sank. I felt bad. And I was pissed off. I was like, so basically what you're telling me is that Native Americans are basically the dogs of Asia who just didn't want to stay there and decided that they wanted to explore and wander and start their own tribes. And it's never given a definite of how many Native American people left their origin spot and came to America and who they assimilated with on the way. Because some Native Americans have super strong Asian traits. Just compare pictures and you'll see. If you compare someone, if you take off their clothes and just put faces, and not like with the war paint and stuff like that, because Native American tribes, depending on what tribe you go to and what their culture is, you can see that their faces, they all have Asian eyes, but some of them who are mixed do not, but most of them have Asian eyes. And depending on how many generations of the family stays Native American versus indoctrinate themselves into marrying people who are non-native, that's when the eye structure changes. All right. So for us, I look very Asian when I smile. I don't smile that much unless I'm pissed off. But anyway, so that would explain a lot of things that had been happening to me since I started going to college at PVCC, and I worked at the University of Virginia, and I've had quite a few Asian people who come to me and say, "What the hell are you?" Because they would be like, anybody who wasn't Hawaiian, like if they were Chinese, Korean, or Japanese, they would come to me and be like, "Are you mixed? And what are you mixed with?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm part black." They said, "No, we got that part. We know that you're part black, but what else are you mixed with?" And I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean?" Because I didn't really catch on, because I'm dumb. So it is like, "What Asian culture are you mixed with?" I said, "I'm not Asian. I'm Native American." And just like me, they were blind to that fact that Native Americans are Asian. It's like, "Okay, well, you look like you could be this." It's like, "Well, Native American." It's like, I can only tell you that I'm part Cherokee. That's it. And I had people who were from Hawaii or Samoan be like, "You sure you're not mixed with Samoans? You're not like us?" And I was like, "No, no, I know exactly what I am. I'm Cherokee, I'm black, and I'm white." And then all of a sudden now, like 15 years after that, they start coming up with these, you can take this DNA test to get you down to the very last chromosome of what your ethnicity is. So it's like, oh, well, that's great. Had they did that when I was in my 20s, that would have been awesome. But the DNA in my 20s was just to find out what your cultural heritage was, but not like to every gram. So I'm going through that, and I was like, every time I met an Asian person while I was in college, it was, "Hey, dude, are you part Samoan? Are you Mexican? Are you like half Korean, half Japanese?" I was like, no. It's like, "Oh, well, you look like you could be." And I didn't take offense to that. It didn't really get on my nerve. It was just that it caught me off guard so many times that I just learned to take it. And that's the thing, with being mixed with Native American, I was the only person in my family who accepted the Native American half. Everybody else just wants to be black. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't not accept your heritage. You need to take it all. You need to grab the bull by the horns and accept it. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept it because it's you. If you, like my mom, if you can pass for white and you just go around telling everybody you white, that's fine and dandy unless you marry a white man and a black baby pops out. Then they're going to be like, "Well, your wife's white and you're white. Why is your baby black?" Because skin tone changes. And when you aren't cheating, you should probably tell the person that you're with your entire bloodline. I have black blood in me, I have white blood in me, I have Native American blood in me. It's probably something that you should discuss with someone before you pop out a surprise. Because generation after generation, families are either going to get lighter or get darker. And if you are mixed, most of the time, I'm going to say this because the proof is in the pudding of my new nephew who was just born, we have never had too many brown babies born in our family. We turn brown, but we all start off white because my mom is off white. I will show y'all a picture of her, but I don't want her to get mad at me for putting her ass on the internet. But anyway, and if you check out our Facebook pages, if you connect to anybody on my Facebook page, someone on my Facebook page has a picture of my mom, but it's not me. But at the same time, I don't deny my white heritage. I don't hate it, but I know from off-centered looks, no one's ever going to say that I'm a white man. Now, as far as being a mixed man, they will say that. As far as them saying that I am a black man or I'm a Mexican man, I've been down that path before too. I've also been Hawaiian, I've been Samoan, I've been Mexican, I've been everything under the sun except for white. I've been a nigger a lot. So, you live and you learn, you adapt, and you adjust. Now, when it comes down to stuff like that, how you deal with it is what makes you or breaks you. When I was a child, I didn't deal with it very well. As I got older and I grew and I understood how people think, how people talk, and how people feel, I learned to adapt and adjust because as you get older, you either pay more attention or less attention to the shit that doesn't affect you in a hurtful manner. I think getting called chief is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. You know, I've been called nigger once or twice, but only has it been racist by one white person that I punched in the mouth. You know, as for that, no other white person has ever really called me a nigger because they didn't know I was part black. I've been called spick and I've been called gook by some white cats, but that's because they thought I was Mexican. You know, I've been called Julio a lot. You know, go figure. Julio is a Mexican name, I guess, but I've been called Julio a lot, and I think that was their way of saying yo Juan Julio because they were like watching Sanford and Son and they thought that shit was cool. You know, sad news for you is that I'm not Mexican. All right. The good news for you is that Mexicans are also Native American because they are of Mayan, Incan, and Aztec descent or Amazonian descent, and all Native Americans are of Asian descent. If you're Mayan, Aztec, and Incan, your ass is a Native American. All right. They don't classify you as Native American because your ancestry takes place in South America, but before you got to South America, you came from one of the Native American tribes that branched out. See, a lot of people don't understand how Native American ethnicities actually work. Native Americans came out of Asia, they crossed the land bridge, and then they splintered once they hit Alaska. The Native Americans that stayed in Alaska are Eskimos. They decided to stay in Eskimo, and they never left Alaska. They adapted, they lived there, they still live there. Then you go to First Nations, you go to Iceland, Greenland, the North Pole. Those guys are still technically of Eskimo because most of the Eskimos they went where the weather was coldest and they stayed there. And that even goes as far as to Greenland because Bjork is Icelandic, but she has, if you look at her face, you can tell she has some native Icelandic or native Eskimoan in there before the Vikings came into Iceland and Switzerland and all those other things. Native Icelandic people technically are of Asian descent. They're Native Americans all over the world, but the Native American tribes started in Asia and just splintered off from Asia to Alaska, to Canada, to Iceland, and down into the Americas, both North and South, which explains how Native Americans are of Asian descent, which also explains how people kept calling me Juan Julio and Gook and Spick and half-breed. I got a lot of half-breed jokes. And, you know, you can take them as a grain of salt or you can take them as life lessons. But, you know, I've had people when I was in grade school was, you're not a real nigger, you're a half nigger. And that was from blacks and whites alike. That was before we found out I was part Native American. And then I guess I got more Native American features than both because then they were like, hey, Chief, how's it going, Chief? It wasn't just the guy at work. It was the kids at school that started going around calling me Chief as well. And I was like, okay, I'm getting it coming and going now. But you know, it is what it is. Now here's the big shocker for you. Abundant of you people who are in America who are born and bred from slaves. You're not all the way black, buddy. You may have stronger black genes, but it's 20% chance that some of your ancestors were also white like mine. There's a 20% chance that some of your ancestors are Native American like mine. The only real African Americans are the Americans who transferred from Africa, got their citizenship, and live in America. But if you are a descendant of a slave, like most of us, it's not a shame to be a descendant of a slave, but I'm pretty sure that some of your ancestors had forced them in having sex with white people, and some of your ancestors who escaped the white slavery was indoctrinated into Native American tribes. That explains the whole Rainbow Coalition for those who aren't aware of the black Native American tribe that are inside the Rainbow Coalition. You guys gotta do your research. You can't Google everything. You have to read some shit. And back with the whole Mr. Kim thing, we didn't have fucking Google. And if we did, I didn't know anything about it. But anyway, the whole thing is, you know, my family on both sides rejected their Native American heritage. They don't do Native American stuff. The closest thing that my mom's side does to Native American stuff was fucking Thanksgiving. But we didn't dress in Native American regalia and do the fire feather dance and all that other crap. We didn't do any of that. No. No one's ever taught us that. No one's taught us Cherokee language. None of that. My great-grandmother on my father's side, Ada, she never taught us that. She was full-blooded Cherokee. So she just rejected all the Cherokee traditions and shit and wherever the hell she chose to live in Isles of Wight, it's raining. Excited to see if that hole in the wall was going to start leaking. Yeah, the whole thing was that she pretty much took her heritage and put it on the side. So I guess it's genetic that both sides of my family rejected their Native American side, and they didn't use it to any of their advantages that I'm going to use to mine. So as I end this video, I want you guys to understand that there's 2 or 3 things that you can't really avoid. You can't avoid people seeing those damn lights. You can't avoid people and how they feel about themselves. If you're a part Native American, you should be proud. If you're a part black, you should be proud. If you are of any multiculturalness, you should be proud. And I'm James Williams. Come for Havoc number 2. Be seeing you.